SpeakUpSis talk show for authors, conversations that connect, where powerful conversations meet purpose and connection. I'm your host, Angel Charmaine, and this is the space where stories inspire, wisdom ignites, and voices rise to build bridges that truly connect us all. Whether you're here for encouragement, empowerment, or just a dose of real talk, you found the right place. Let's dive in and have the kind of conversations that move us forward together. Welcome, everybody, to Conversations That Connect. And we are having our holiday author showcase here on the Speak Up Sis talk show for authors. I'm really excited today because we've got a relatively new author. I won't say she's brand spanking new, but I'll say that she is relatively new. Her name is S.L. Burns. She is new to the Speak Up Sis Bookshelf family of authors. And so I would love for you all to make sure that you are showing her a warm, hearty welcome the way that we do in the Speak Up Sis community. So, author S.L. Burns, please join me here and let the people know exactly who you are. How you doing, sis?
I am doing absolutely awesome. How are you today?
I am doing well. I'm just really happy to have you here. You just kind of showed up one day and you just been here ever since. And I'm really, really excited about that. Thank you so much for trusting the Speak Up Sis Bookshelf platform to be one of the first places you decide to do this type of conversation. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's what's up. So, we are going to have a nice, robust conversation today about you and about your work. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to everyone. And everyone, listen, it's okay to talk to us. You can leave your questions, your comments, your hellos, all the good stuff in the comment section, and we will address them. So, I'm going to move on out of the way and allow you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you so much. I am author Shay Aaron L. Burns, and I have been writing, I guess, for a rather long time, but just recently becoming an actual published author. I'm originally from Orangeburg, South Carolina, a nice little, quaint little town, college town for sure. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I have one son. He is 21 and a student in college at Augusta University. My mommy stays with me. She is elderly and disabled, but she has been a life source to me as I've grown up. A little bit about who I am. I am a very special little kid. My mom always tells me that the enemy didn't want me here, is what she would always say. I was pretty much born early, and I was not breathing when I was born. So I guess essentially I was stillborn, and the doctors work their magic as they do. And I started breathing. And then all of a sudden, the day she went to take me home, she said I wasn't breathing again. And so from that, she's always inspired me to know that I was called to be here on this earth. And what I was called to do, I wasn't sure. I just knew that I was a little extra special baby with ADHD, dyslexia, OCD, and a lot of other issues, speech issues, and things. My mom realized that music was a way to get me engaged and help me learn to communicate more effectively. So at 3 years old, she put me on the piano. Imagine that. I took lessons since the age of 3 years old, and I've just never looked back when it came to music. From that, I ended up becoming a music educator. I've been teaching for a little over 20 years. I still perform as a musician on the clarinet and bass clarinet. And I do sing, but I prefer to stick with instruments these days. So that's pretty fun and awesome. I do have a honey. He's also a band director out here where I live, and he enjoys very much playing trumpets. So that was a really nice collaboration. I'll say it like that, and definitely a great inspiration to me as well.
Okay. Listen, I did not know you are also a musician. And I'm glad you
Yes.
said that you stick with instruments and not singing right now because I'm one of those people who be like, can you like sing for us or something?
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, I do, but not like I used to, for sure.
That is so cool. I have always believed that I was supposed to be a singer. I just think the Lord was like, I have given you way too many gifts. Like, if I give
Oh
you
my
that
goodness.
one, you're not going to act right.
That's hilarious.
So
I
I
love
think he
it.
just like, he either forgot to give me my voice or he was like,
Look
you
at
don't
you.
need it. Need it in that way. I'm gonna give you a different kind of voice, but you ain't getting no
That's
singing
right.
voice.
Exactly
Honey,
right.
I'll
Exactly
probably be doing my own thing if I could sing a song. Okay.
right. And I guess he knew that. Yep.
Exactly, exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of those things. And also, you're a whole miracle child.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
So that's something else that I didn't know. So thank you so much for sharing with us. It looks like we've
Sure.
got a few people who have shown up. So we're going to greet our guests before we jump into
Right.
this conversation. Hello, Harold Beds Thoughts. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in today for our holiday author showcase on Speak Up Sis Talk Show for authors, conversations that connect. I thank you so much. Peggy Ann, how you doing? It's good to see you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today as well. And Leslie Montgomery, thank you. We truly appreciate your daily tune in to the Holiday Author Showcase. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you as well. So thank y'all. And please feel free to continue commenting, join the conversation. We will have a question and answer segment towards the end. So if you have any questions for author S.L. Burns, I'm going to call her Shay in this
Yes.
space because she says that's okay. So if you have any questions for her during the conversation, please just place them in the comments and we will address them. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I want to know what inspired you to actually become an author because you said you've been playing the piano and singing and all these things. So, what inspired you to actually become a writer? And then what motivates you to continue that writing journey?
Awesome. So I've actually been planning to write for a very long time. Ever so often, something will come to me or something's dropped in my spirit, and I'll say, "Oh, that could be a book." And I'll put it in my notes section of my phone, or my friends would always say, "Shay, you really need to write a book." But I think just being so busy all the time, there was never really any time to just sit down and write. I loved watching Murder She Wrote, still do on the Saturday night when everyone else is out hanging out. And I will listen to JB Fletcher and just see her just going at it and being inspired by little things around her life. And I know that's a fictional character, but that's the reality of my life. Okay. But I had an opportunity during the hurricane to literally get away from everything because I kind of had no choice. And so while being in the stillness and the quiet of time, God was like, okay, you know what? This is that time. This is the time where I have allowed literally nothing to interfere with your ability to sit down and do what I called you to do. And so I just sat down at the computer in my office and just started writing. And all of a sudden, everything just kind of came through.
Okay, so what keeps you writing? Like I understand
Yes,
starting because we
yes,
all have something that inspires us. The Lord
mhm,
says write,
yep,
or something happens to you and you're like, I need to write this, or you realize that I have a voice and I need to say something
mhm.
and I want to say it, with words on paper. But then you get to this place where it's like, I ain't selling no books. I don't even know if anyone is reading these
Mhm,
books.
yeah,
So,
yep.
what motivates you to keep writing while you're at the beginning of this author journey?
The honest truth is I can't stop writing. That is the reality. I think maybe it is the beginning, and maybe at first I was like, okay, well, all these thoughts are coming to me, let me put them on paper. But I wake up in the morning very early, sometimes 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just can't not sit down and write. Everything just starts pouring out. And then when God allows me a moment or that another moment, he starts giving me book titles and he says, okay, so this is going to be a series and this is going to happen. So I think the motivation really isn't coming from myself or people around me per se, but it's just that inner tug and pull on me to just keep writing. I would almost honestly say that things have been taken off my plate, even if I didn't want them to be taken off my plate, in order for me to have that space to write. And I just take that as a sign that God is saying, this is what I called you to do, and you have to do what I tell you to do. So allow yourself that space to just sit down and get what I have in your heart out of your heart most paper.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think that is one of those signs of knowing that writing is where God wants you to be, at least in the season you're
Right.
in, when you know like that I have so much that needs to be said, so much that
Mhm.
needs to be written, that it just kind of pours out.
Yeah,
I'll tell you,
absolutely.
I'm one of those authors who prefers to read than write. I tell people all the time, I really don't like to write, which is
Mhm.
interesting. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes I will categorize authors. Some people say, Angel, you are an author. Stop saying that. But I tell people, I don't believe I'm a traditional author. I
Mhm.
believe I'm an inspirational conversationalist who writes books.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I believe there's a difference. There are
Yeah.
people who just write. They love to write. They can push a book out
Mhm.
every year. It's what they do, it's what they love doing. They push books, more than one book out a year.
Mhm.
Yet I write in order to facilitate conversations. So I only write a book when the Lord leads me to a new conversation. But people like you, I call y'all real bona fide authors, because you have a desire for it, a love for it, and it just pours out of you. And I appreciate traditional authors who have a love and a desire to simply write. And so I appreciate your talent. I appreciate your gift. And I thank you for getting to a place where you're willing to share it with the world, right? So
Yeah.
since you enjoy writing, I would like you to share a little bit about your process for writing.
Okay.
Do you have a process, or do you just kind of sit down? What does your writing process look like?
Well, that's a great question because I haven't really thought about the process outside of, and I'm going to pull this up on my phone, outside of having a phone that has a bunch of notes in it. And then eventually I will be inspired by something, whether it's something I saw on social media, something that was just dropped in my spirit, or a conversation with someone. And I would go through and I would literally just jot down stuff. So you can see all these various notes in my phone, pictures and links to websites. It's just all the stuff that just starts coming to me. And so right now in this process, it's a series of books. So I haven't started yet once on any of the other things that's in the notes, but I really, really am intentional about continuing the process from start to finish. And I guess to give an example, when I started writing, listening to the heart, during the hurricane, God was like, okay, well, I'm not turning your lights on until you finish this book. Book one has to be done, and I was like, okay, well, I just started writing and started letting God deal with my heart. But it's really what I was going through at the time and how I've come out of that circumstance and situation. So I think the way my process is going to be is one of those, like a method actor. I guess I'm a method writer. I live what I write. I can't seem to write anything that I haven't already gone through or haven't already gotten over. So sometimes I know looking at those notes that, oh my gosh, this is going to be a season of trial when this book is about to be written because of the titles that are listed that God has given me or the series that God has given me. So I guess I'm preparing myself to go through something in order to be able to write something that others can benefit from. So I think that's ultimately what my process would look like, just living my life and allowing God to get me over a hump, overcome a certain battle, and then the book will come.
Love that. It it signifies that the Lord is truly leading your path as an author, to know that, oh my goodness, I'm taking all these notes. Lord, what are you
Mhm.
about to lead
Mhm.
me into? What is getting ready to happen in my life? Because I know I'm going to have to
Absolutely.
birth something in writing because of this. That is a beautiful way to that's a beautiful way to get those books written, and to also continue to grow and establish the relationship that you have with the Lord, because it
Absolutely.
sounds like in order to be able to write your books, you have to be in line and in
I
tune with
have
what
to
he's
be.
doing with you and your personal life. I absolutely love that. So, because you showed that phone, I want to know if there are any other kind of technologies that you use, because
Hmm.
old school, still
Gotcha.
fill up notebooks. It's
I
something
hear
about
you.
feeling the book, the paper, the pen.
Hmm.
I haven't really gotten too hip with using my phone for things. So, do you
Hmm.
use lots of technology? Do you write your stories? I mean, type them? Do you write them? What other types of
Gotcha.
technology do you use to prepare yourself for writing your books and actually writing them?
Yes, I am a big techie. And my handwriting is truly a musician's handwriting slash doctor looking handwriting. So if I wrote it down with my hands, I probably wouldn't recognize it when I go back to it, just being honest. So I do, I type everything that I do. And one of the newer things that I've been using, and I understand this concept, but AI has actually been very beneficial for one specific purpose. Because I have ADHD, my thought process, memory, and finding and pulling out those thoughts can be very sporadic, all over the place. And being able to pull those things back up is extremely important, which is one of the reasons why I use technology so much. But using AI, I can actually put in my thoughts, write them all out, just as if I'm writing them in Microsoft Word. But the cool thing is I can go back and find them again. All of the thoughts that I have, any just random thing, I'll pop it into the memory of my AI software, or a chat GTP, things like that. And it'll pull it back up when I need it, when I begin writing. So AI has been probably the most beneficial tool that I've had as I've been working on writing. It's just, I don't know, it helps me not just organize my thoughts, but I'll take what I write, and instead of paying an editor to go through and finding all of my mistakes or using Grammarly like I used to all the time, I would just copy and paste everything that I wrote, pop it into my AI software and ask it a specific question. Can you go through this and make sure that I didn't misspell a word? I'm dyslexic, so being able to identify when I mix letters up or write a word backwards or even miss a word, I need to be able to know and recognize those before I start putting, everything together and putting it out there in the universe.
My goodness, I have never really thought about using AI in that capacity.
Absolutely.
I use it sparingly here and there for
Mhm.
different things, but I've never really thought about taking my words, putting it there, and asking it to proof it for
Yeah.
me or give suggestions on the copy or
Mhm.
anything of that nature. What a wonderful way to use AI. Those of you who are authors who are watching this conversation, I hope
Mhm.
you are taking some notes, because author S.L. Burns is really dropping some really good tools and strategies to help you in your journey as an author. So thank you for sharing that. I would have
Sure.
never thought to use AI in that way. So we do have a few other people who have joined us in the conversation today, and so I want to take just a moment to say
Sure.
welcome to Speak Up Sis Talk Show for Authors, Conversations That Connect. Today, we are on day 2 of our holiday author showcase with our guest author, S.L. Burns. And we are going to be talking about her book, Listening to the Heart, A Journey of Self Discovery and Faith. We're getting into that momentarily. But I do want to acknowledge those of you who have come into the room that we have not already acknowledged. So, welcome, Peggy. How are you doing? Thank you so much. She says, I like to read, I like to write and not read. Let me just say this to all of the authors who are like, I don't really like reading. A Most authors who write well
Mhm.
read. It's one of those things where even if you don't necessarily like reading a lot,
Mhm.
it's necessary. Like, I'm an author who doesn't necessarily like to write, but I do write. I
Mhm.
journal. I write in all sorts of capacities because I know that in order to be a good author, I need to be writing. So even if I'm not releasing a book every year, I journal, I'm writing all the time because it improves my skills as a writer. Hence, even though you may not like to read, it is so important that you read different genres, read lots of your own genre, because you're going to build your vocabulary, right? Other authors are using language that you may not typically use. You're going to learn the tools and tricks of the trade for your own genre if you are reading other authors in your genre. Right. So reading, you definitely want to read, even if it's something that you don't necessarily like. Okay.
Absolutely. Can
So,
I
well,
chime in there if you don't mind? Just on that same thing, like I've always learned in network marketing, hanging around those kinds of people, they say go where the nuggets are. And whatever field you're in, as a musician, I hung around great musicians, or still hang around great musicians, someone that's better than myself. So being an
mhm.
author, I try to get around that space where others are writing and others are putting themselves out there, because I'm a total introvert. So being able to network and get around those that are doing this, it just inspires me to keep going and keep writing and making it better every day.
Yes, absolutely. Put yourself in the spaces with other authors, other writers. Read their books. Don't just
Yes,
purchase the books to say you support it. Authors actually want you to read their work. So,
exactly.
authors, buy books and read them. Thank you, Latoya Dr. Mack, for coming into the space. She always comes in and she tags other people to come in, join us in the conversation. So, I thank you so much for doing that, Latoya Dr. Mack. I appreciate you. Thank you also, Leslie Montgomery, for coming into the space. I appreciate you and inviting other people to come in and join us as well. I really thank you for that. Peggy T says, I let my kids read out loud to me at times. We learn together. That is a
Love it.
wonderful way to get some reading in as well, and teach your children
Yes.
to foster a love for reading with your kids as well. Okay, so thank you all for joining us. Again, please note that we are accepting questions and answers here in this space. So send your questions in the chat if you have any specific questions for author S.L. Burns today as we continue having this conversation. So now I would love to go ahead and jump into listening to the heart, a journey of self-discovery and faith. Shay, I want to know, what do you want people to get from this book fundamentally? Like, what's the primary theme of the book,
Mhm.
or what do you want them to learn? What can we expect from listening to the heart?
I think the biggest thing to get out of this is the journey. I have been teaching forever and ever and ever, and it just felt like I know this is what I'm supposed to do, but am I just doing it because I'm good at it, or because someone else told me that I was good at it? So I went into that field. Not that I don't love it, not that I don't enjoy being a musician, but I started feeling like I was losing that zeal and that fire. Sure, I could blame it on all the things that are going on around us, but the reality was I really didn't know who I was. I needed to figure out, who is Shay Burns? Who is this person, and what type of direction should she be going in? And how do I get there? And so the self discovery portion of this book really did dig deep into who I am as a person, identifying what my skills are, what my gifts are, and how do those skills and gifts translate into what I'm supposed to do, my purpose in life. And then the faith part, of course, not everyone is religious or spiritual or goes to church. Not everyone is a Christian, but I believe in the internal parts of us. Everyone believes in something greater than ourselves. And so that finding that faith that guides you and leads you into who you are and where you're supposed to be, that is where this book helps you get to. And it's just the first step in things, but it at least gives you a foundational piece and foundational understanding of how to find yourself within who you already are. Really taking time to listen to who you are on the inside, getting away from the noise, getting away from other people's voices in your head, and just taking that time to just be quiet a little while, sit in the stillness of yourself, of your own heart, listening to your thoughts or even allowing your thoughts to be completely gone in order to clear the cobwebs, to make sure that you can find yourself in the process of life.
Okay. So is this a self-help journal or devotional, or is this a book like a memoir or a self-help book or
Mhm.
something of that nature? What's the specific genre, if there's a specific genre for your book?
Yes, I feel like it's more self-help. Book one is definitely a self-help book. We do have a companion devotional. That's a 30-day devotional, Heartbeat of Faith, that is already accessible via Amazon as well. If you were more of a journaling type person, I would highly recommend book two as well. But book one is the foundation. It is the start of getting to know yourself. I think that's the most, or just the start of the journey. Sometimes it's hard to know where to begin. And the Listening to the Heart is the book to help you figure out where to begin, how to start finding yourself.
Okay. So I have a little ask of you. If you want to do it,
Okay.
are you able to maybe share a little excerpt from Listening to the Heart so we can get a feel of what to expect? Are you okay with doing that today?
Sure. Absolutely. Let me go ahead
All
and
right.
see what I have here. Okay.
I guess this is going to
So,
be like asking you to read. I mean, to sing.
oh, it does feel that way. That's pretty cool. I don't mind. I don't mind singing. I just have to be prepared. You know, they always say be ready at all times. On the clarinet, I'm always ready. But pulling out a song, yeah, not always. But doing this is kind of easy. So that's kind of cool.
And that's what
Let's
we're here
see.
for. So please share an excerpt from Listening to the Heart.
Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll do chapter two for you all. So I'll just jump in. Okay, chapter two, the rhythm of life. Life, like a song, has its rhythm. There are moments of high energy, moments of calm, and moments of deep reflection. Yet, many of us struggle to find balance in these natural ebb and flow. We rush through our days, often feeling overwhelmed by the demands placed on us: work, family, relationships, and personal goals. But what if we could learn to recognize and honor the rhythms of life rather than constantly fight against them? God created a world that operates in cycles, seasons of growth, rest, and renewal. Our lives follow a similar pattern. There are seasons of productivity and creativity, and there are seasons when we must step back, rest, and recharge. When we resist these rhythms, we find ourselves out of sync, exhausted, anxious, and spiritually depleted. But when we lean into them, we discover harmony, peace, and a greater sense of purpose. Recognizing life's rhythms. Every aspect of our lives has a rhythm, from the daily patterns of work and rest to the longer seasons of joy and sorrow. These rhythms shape our experience of life, but in a culture that prizes productivity and busyness, it's easy to lose touch with these natural rhythms. We push ourselves to constantly be on, forgetting that even Jesus took time to retreat, rest, and pray. Finding harmony doesn't mean we always live in perfect balance. It means we learn to listen to the pulse of our lives and adjust accordingly. Sometimes we need to push forward and embrace action. Other times we need to step back, slow down, and recharge our spirits. Faith can anchor us in these moments, reminding us that even in our busiest times, God calls us to rest and trust in His timing. Okay, personal story. There was a period in my life when I felt like I was constantly running on empty. I was juggling a demanding career, family responsibilities, and personal ambitions. Despite all my efforts to keep everything together, I felt increasingly disconnected from myself, my faith, and even the people I loved. It wasn't until I reached a point of total exhaustion that I realized I had been neglecting the natural rhythms of my life. I remember the day when everything shifted. I was sitting in my office feeling overwhelmed by a mountain of tasks. For the first time in weeks, I paused. I put everything aside, closed my eyes, and simply breathed. In that moment of stillness, I felt God's presence wash over me, and I realized that I had been running from one task to another without ever pausing to listen to my body, my heart, or my spirit. Since then, I've learned to honor the rhythm of my life. I work hard when the season calls for it, but I also give myself permission to rest, reflect, and renew. And in doing so, I found a deeper sense of balance and peace. Lessons for the reader. Number one, pay attention to your energy cycles. Recognize when you feel energized and productive, and when you feel drained and in need of rest. Adjust your schedule to honor these natural rhythms. Number two, incorporate moments of rest and renewal in your day. Even short breaks for prayer, meditation, or deep breathing can help you reconnect with your inner rhythm. And step three, trust in God's timing. Not everything needs to be done at once. Trust that God's plan for your life includes moments of both activity and rest, and allow yourself to flow with that rhythm. And then, of course, at the end of it is a reflection. What is my heart telling me today? And that is the end of chapter two.
Okay. First, I love it.
Oh,
I
yay.
love it. Just know I'll be purchasing a copy because when I tell you, you wrote something that I say all the time. And that is, I personally do not ascribe to the notion of everything being balanced. Everybody says, you gotta find balance.
Mhm,
I have been saying
mhm.
for years,
Never.
I prefer harmony
That's
over
right.
balance because when you're looking for balance, you're looking for the scale to be even, right? And you're
Correct.
trying to give equal everything. And
Exactly.
sometimes you just are unable to do that. And as
Yeah.
as a full-time entrepreneur, there are times when I really am going to put 90% into this and I can only give 10%
Yeah.
here. But when I'm giving you the 10%, I'm giving you all of me in the
Exactly.
10%, right? And so all the pieces work together really, in this beautiful harmony. You get a little here, a little there, a lot there, here and there, and
Mhm.
you get this beautiful symphony, if you will, of a life versus looking for balance. And so when I heard you say that, I was like, yes, I've been preaching this forever, and I'm so
Mhm.
glad to hear that you have put that idea so beautifully in this book. I also like the way that you have sectioned out the chapter with the tips and all the good things. So, listen, if you do not own Listening to the Heart, A Journey of Self Discovery and Faith, which is a self help book, please get one. If you know someone who is a bit scattered right now in life, someone who is just trying to figure it out and find themselves and they're overwhelmed, this sounds like a beautiful book for mothers, especially mothers of
Yes.
young children, mothers who are running around trying to be super mama, wearing all the hats. This sounds like a beautiful
Mhm.
book to gift them. Remember, this is our holiday author showcase, and we are here allowing you to meet some amazing self published authors, hear about their work, and purchase their books. You can give a book as a Christmas gift, as a Secret Santa gift. You can give it as a
Mhm.
stocking stuffer. There's so many ways that you can get a book. And here's or give a book. And I would love for you all to purchase at least one book from all five of these authors this week and give five different people a book. That would be something amazing for you to do. I know I'm going to get one, but I'm not gifting mine. I'm keeping mine and then I'm going to put it on the Speak Up Sis bookshelf when I finish reading it so that people who come into the center will have access to the book.
I love
Absolutely
it.
beautiful. I would like to go into the comments just to see what everyone is saying. Tell me, did you all enjoy that excerpt? Did it connect with you in any type of way? Susan says, yes, she hit all the nails on the head. She did. Yes, she did, Susan. Listen, I am so excited. Peggy has sent you a heart. Thank you so much
Aw.
for showing the love. Leslie says, I love it. I absolutely did
Cool.
as well. Leslie, thank you so much for that. Susan says, I truly enjoyed this book in its entirety. Susan, thank you so much for purchasing the book
Right.
and thank
Same
you
with
for reading
Susan.
the book. I would also like to encourage you all when you purchase a self published author's book and you read it, leave them a review. Go
Please.
on to Amazon. Even if you bought the book from her directly at a vending
Yes.
event or you ordered directly from her website or something like that, please still go to Amazon and let them know that you actually bought the book and leave a review. Reviews help authors so much. You all know when you go to purchase something, what's the first thing you do?
I look at the reviews every time.
You look at the review, you want to know how many fives and fours.
That's
I even
right.
go read the ones because
Hmm.
I look for the, I want to know
Yep,
why they put a one.
that's right.
Were they mad about something silly, or did they actually have something meaningful to say? So
Exactly.
even if you have a one, two, three, four, five, at least leave a meaningful review of her work. We love for you to tell us in these spaces that you love the work, but it is so much more helpful if you actually take a moment of your time to go to Amazon and
Mhm.
leave her a review. Again, we are having some question and answer time. If you all have any questions that you would like to ask, author S.L. Burns. While I have her here, we're getting ready to wrap up our segment. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask her about herself, about the book, feel free to do that at this time. So, what I would like to ask you is before we start to wind down, I have two more questions for you,
Okay,
okay? What
sure.
has been the most rewarding aspect of your journey as an author thus far?
I think the most rewarding thing has been not realizing that my story really is helpful to someone else. I hear people talk about this all the time, my story, my story, my story. But I've always been a little more quiet when it comes to the things that I've gone through or even how I've come out. My godmother used to always tell us the way you go through determines how you come out. And I think it's very helpful to share that part and then seeing others that were impacted by that story has just been a blessing to my heart. I just think I underestimated the things that I've gone through and how God brought me out. And my story may not be like someone else's story. My journey through it has not been like someone else's journey through it. But knowing that I can help someone else on their journey in this way is extremely helpful to me. And it has blessed my spirit.
Oh, okay. So that perfect, perfect segue into my final question or ask of you today. And that is, what advice would you give to a new author and maybe someone who is thinking about becoming an author who's struggling with the idea of sharing their voice? And just let me say, I know you were like, how at the beginning before we started, you're like, I don't really like to talk about it. But let me just say, you have done a beautiful job of
Thank
sharing your
you.
voice, your work, your testimony with us today. And it just feels like you've been doing this for a very long time. So you did a wonderful job. And I
Thank
just
you.
want to applaud you in that. So please, if you will, share a little bit of advice to someone who may be struggling to share their voice, but they're new in this author space to help them get to a place where they feel more comfortable sharing their voice through their writing.
So, yes, I get very nervous. When I say I'm an introvert, I mean, I have the most extroverted career in the world. I'm a musician. I get in front of people and I entertain and do those different things. But I look at it as separating myself. My instrument is my voice at that point. So, when it was time to write, I think the first maybe bit of advice that I would get is identify a dedicated space because having so many people around me, my house is always busy, my life is always busy. Someone is always calling or texting or emailing, and I feel compelled to respond just naturally. But having a dedicated space where it's just you and your thoughts helps me at least get into the mindset of, okay, I'm going to write now. I think a second bit of advice would be just be you. I did not know where to start initially as far as where it goes, but my heart is where I started. And so I would say go with your heart. If you are the kind of person, however you talk is not always how you should write, but at the same time is what you should write. Get to the place where the thing that you wake up thinking about all the time might actually be the thing that you need to start with putting on pen and paper. And the last bit of advice that I would just say free write. write any and everything. I at the beginning of this, I pulled up my cell phone and my notes for books is titled books at the top, and any and every thought that comes to my mind, if it was something that stemmed from a picture I saw on social media or a website link or something, I just start putting it down on paper, and eventually something comes out of that thought process. There are some books that I'm just waiting to write. I'm so ready to write them, but it's not yet the time because all I got was a spark. And sometimes that's all you need. That spark leads to the fire. So go ahead and allow that spark to ignite something inside of you, and you will know it when it's the right moment. Just don't shy away from it. Sit down, find that dedicated space, and make time. My best friend told me, she was like, okay, Shay, after book one, she said, now you've gotten the time because of the hurricane, but you have to dedicate at least an hour or two every day as your office hours. This is your writing time. Do not let anything or anyone interrupt that writing time. If it has to be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning before the house wakes up, then I'm writing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. My computer is literally beside me on the desk every day because I never know I'm going to wake up and just start writing. So I hope that was pretty simple and succinct.
Those are great nuggets. If you are not catching the nuggets that she's dropping, she really has shared wisdom with us today. She's literally has given tips and strategy for authors, not just new authors, but authors, period. So if you missed any of this, I highly recommend that you go back and rewatch this. It's been very informative to meet you, to hear about your book, but also to listen to you share in this space has been very informative. I know we're moving just a bit over our time, but we do have a question and
Sure.
I want to address it. Is that okay with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a question from Peggy, and she says, one tip you would give to someone who pauses but does not rest intentionally. That's a really good question.
Yes, that was me always and forever because I thought that's all I had was about 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. As a teacher, music educator, I really almost never had time. And so the pause is okay for a moment, but I look at it as like you are taking a cat nap. A cat nap will only last you for so long and then you're depleted of energy again. So I think the best tip that I could give to rest intentionally is to consider this one thought, and it might be a little morbid, but if you are gone, life continues for everybody else. Let me say that again. If you are gone, life continues for everybody else around you. And so while you are a big presence in everything else that's going on around you right now, the biggest presence you have is yourself. So I would say if you feel like you are just running and scatterbrained and doing all those things, you probably really are. And so intentionality will come with that one thought. When I'm gone, they will have someone else here to replace me, and life goes on for everybody else. So take care of you first. You have to put on your mask, as they say on the airplane, first before you can help somebody else. So take care of you. That's extremely important.
That's heavy, but I believe
Sorry.
sometimes, no, please don't apologize because I think we get so accustomed to superficial talk for cliched talks. We get so accustomed to the 15-second reels that really don't say much. So to hear someone say, consider that your cat nap will lead you to an eternal sleep. And when you're gone, folks just gonna find somebody else to do all the things that you've been running around doing.
That's
So
right.
be intentional about resting. I like to add, Peggy, if you don't mind, the same way Shay talked about setting a time for her writing. I know you're an author too, and we're going to talk to you this week, Peggy. I would say set a time for your sleep. I do
Yes.
that. I set an alarm. I'm in the bed by 10. I am asleep by
Mhm.
10:30. I have an alarm that will ring at 5:30 in the morning. That allows me to get good solid sleep. And
Mhm.
I do not do anything during that time except sleep. Turn off all the TVs, all the
Mhm.
devices, all the things. So the same way that you plan your exercise, you plan your meals, you plan when you're going to do things with your kids, plan your rest,
Mhm.
and then stick to it as well, just like you plan your writing time. So that was a great question and an excellent response, Shay, and I appreciate you. Peggy says, "Wow, confirming something I encountered this AM. Thanks, thank you so much for
Thank you.
letting Shay know that she's on the right track with her share." And Harold Bed's Thought says, "You are speaking the truth. You have to take care of yourself." Absolutely. So we're going to wrap for the day. And prior to letting everybody go, I just have to say to them, we want you to purchase Listening to the Heart, A Journey of Self-Discovery and Faith. S.L. Burns' title is listed on SpeakUpSis Bookshelf. And if you are new to SpeakUpSis Bookshelf, first, thank you for watching the talk show today. I also would like for you to know that we do not take any profits, any money from the authors from the sale of their books. They submit a link to us as to where they would like to drive payment for their works. And we do not get anything from that. So it's okay to visit speakupsis.com/bookshelf. Click on her book titled Listening to the Heart, A Journey of Self-Discovery and Faith. It will simply lead you to where she prefers for you to purchase her work. I always say that because people who are not familiar with the bookshelf, they may be thinking we're taking something from the authors,
Mhm.
and we are not. Okay. It's just an easier way for you to find her work and to see the other authors and their books that are part of the Speak Up Sis Bookshelf family of authors. Again, our website is speakupsis.com/bookshelf. That's where you'll be able to find her title. If you are a self-published author and you would like to be a guest on Speak Up Sis talk show for authors, then please visit speakupsis.com/talk show and click the button that says become a guest. We would love to have you in this space. Do you have a final word that you would like to share with our viewers? I like to give my guests the final word.
Goodness. Just thank you. Honestly, I think just seeing and hearing from all of you jumping into this and asking questions and giving your comments, it just confirms to me that I'm doing the right thing and I'm following the right path. And that if I just keep going, more people can be blessed by this story and by God's directing and leading. So I appreciate you all very much. And thank you so much, Angel, for this opportunity to come on here and have just an opportunity to share and to conversate with you. It's been really wonderful. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And I'm going to give an impromptu shout out. What's his name? Is it Jackson Drumgold?
Oh, Drunkle, yes, yes. I was just with him yesterday. Yeah, absolutely. He's been amazing.
I want to give this impromptu shout out. I don't even think he
Yes.
even watches Speak Up Sis Talk Show, but it blessed my soul to learn that a community member in the CSRA
Mhm.
recommended Speak Up Sis to author S.L. Burns. I don't even know him like that. I met him a time or two, and to know that there are community members who
Yeah.
may not be in the space all the time or at all,
Mhm.
but who understand that this is a good space and a God
Yes.
space, and who's willing to share us with the people who need us. I just want to say thank you so much, Jackson Drumgool. Am I saying his
Yes.
last name properly?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay, I just want to say thank you very much for introducing Shay to Speak Up Sis, and she is now a part of our family, and we love her here. So thank you, and I want to thank every single one of you who Speak Up Sis, in other spaces and invite people
Yeah.
here. So thank you so much, Shay, for coming into the space today. thank you and I appreciate you. And I pray much success. And you can always come into this space when you want to share about your work. You are welcome. You are now a part of our family. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Most definitely. Okay, everyone, it is time for us to wrap for the day. Thank y'all so much for joining us. I pray that you have enjoyed hearing the voice of author S.L. Burns and her title, Listening to the Heart. I am so appreciative of all of you. Thank you for those of you who tagged other people into the conversation. Thank you to those of you who have shared this broadcast into your own spaces. We cannot grow without your support, your love, your participation. And so I thank you for tuning in to the Speak Up Sis Talk Show for Authors, Conversations That Connect. Today, as we presented to you, author S.L. Burns. And with that, I just want to say, remember to open up your mouth and speak up. Until tomorrow for the third day of the Holiday Author Showcase, I'll see you.